Good evening, Anne Arundel County. Good evening, America. Welcome to Promoting Community Conversation and Discovery. I'm your host, Anthony Bynum. The name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. These are exciting times here in Anne Arundel County. First of all, the weather's gotten very nice all of a sudden. Last week we had some rain, but it's been beautiful all week. It's supposed to stay nice for a little while. Cooling down a little bit too. Sorry about that, folks. Cooling down a little bit too. And I think that's kind of a good thing at this time of the year. I think that's kind of what you want. So we have an exciting show today. Let's start off with upcoming events. So there are two remaining concerts over there at the Quiet Waters Park. They have another name for the concert events. I kind of forgot what that was. But on the 24th, which is tomorrow, at 5:30, you have the Lenata Garcia uh, Latin Pop Band. That sounds exciting. Latin pop. That sounds very exciting. Also, on the last weekend of August, the last show is the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra. So that should be interesting. If you can get over to Quiet Waters in Pasadena, 5:30 on Saturday. I'm going to try to get to, I'll be out of town this weekend, but I'm going to try to get over to that other concert, the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra. I'm going to try to get over to that one. Also, though, on Sunday in Annapolis, the Cars and Coffee Show. It's being held Annapolis downtown. I've seen some pictures. It's neat. Drink some coffee, look at some neat cars. That's a neat approach. I don't know if there's a cover charge for that one or not. The 25th, which is Sunday, Down Park in Annapolis. I guess a Down Park in Pasadena. I guess Pasadena's where all the good parks are, I guess. This one is called the Ryan Keith Band. I don't know. I'm feeling some country music. Being like Ryan Keith, does that kind of make sense? I'm not gonna be able to make that one, but well, maybe I will. I'll be back in time. Hey, maybe I'll get over for that one. We'll see if I'm back in town in time for that one. So, also, let's start off with, oh, this is important. Our newest show is in post-production right now. It's called Goffstown History, Bynum Legacy. We'll have more on that one soon, but we're very excited to get that one out to you. Now, references. So this week we relied on the Arts Council of Annapolis, their journal. Visit AnnapolisWW.com. A piece from Access Hollywood, a piece from Television Academy, Google Images, and Wikipedia. I want to put a shout out to, I want to acknowledge all of the cable access stations that carry our show. So that's Anne Arundel County Cable Access. That is Greenbelt Cable Access out of PG County. Anne Arundel Cable Access is right here in Glen Burnie. Amherst Media, which is in Amherst, Massachusetts, and the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, which is in the Big Apple. We also want to thank our underwriter / sponsor, that's the Cleaning Chef. So we're going to start off with Most Admired. We lost a great one this week in the broadcast community. Gentleman's name, Phil Donahue. So I'm going to go to the screen share right now. There he is right there, Phil Donahue. He lived a long time. He had a great life. Let's talk a little bit about it. He was born 12/21/1935 in Cleveland, Ohio. He died 8/18/2024 right here in New York. So it's just this past week we lost Phil. He was a great talk show host. His show ran for 29 years, 1967 to 1996. It started off in Dayton, Ohio, and he worked for a couple of different stations. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Phil was not afraid to address important issues. He wanted to have what truly is a national conversation about them. He really wanted that. We talk about that in the news, but often it doesn't happen in the news. It's not a conversation. How do you feel about this issue? How do you feel about this issue? And in doing his show the way he did, it gave you a chance to think about where you stood on the issue or issues, and they were important. He talked about issues of the day: consumer protection, civil rights, abortion. I'm sure there are many, many more. I don't know if he got into the business realm. You would think he would have, because he actually had a degree in business administration, but I can't say I know for sure. Okay, I guess consumer protection possibly. I don't know if he dealt with any industrial issues, like roads, like trucks, airplanes, how do they work, that kind of thing. I don't know. But he did the show for so long that he probably covered some of those subjects in some sort of ways. Now, His most frequent guest was Ralph Nader. Let's talk a little bit about Phil's background. Born into a middle-class Irish-American family, his father was a furniture sales clerk. His mother was a department store clerk. So they were, he knew retail. In fact, if you think about it, his show was a retail show, talk show, a retail talk show. His parents were in the retail business. He was in the retail business too, but he was in the retail business with his mouth, with his mind, with his guests. Now, he was Catholic. He went to Catholic schools all the way through to the great Notre Dame. So I bet he saw some great sports. It's funny. One thing that has always been known about priests is they love their sports. When we interviewed Father Ben, we showed pictures of him playing soccer in his home in Nigeria when he was a little kid, when he was a young man, rather, I should say. Now, he graduated from Notre Dame with a Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration. I don't know how you get a Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration. Seems like it should be a Bachelor of Science, but I don't work there, so I don't know. But he wanted to be in the television, the media business, because his first job was in radio as a production assistant for KYW Radio and TV in Cleveland. So he was fortunate because the media outlet that he worked for had both radio and TV, opened up all kinds of doors for him. He got his first chance to announce when I believe it was a TV announcer failed to show up for a show. And they said, well, Phil, you're on. What did they say? What was that? And they say, you're on, Dougie Fresh, you're on. Well, Phil, you're on. And he must have done a good job. He got involved with interviewing people early on. And listen to some of these names. Jimmy Hoffa. That was early on because he worked at another radio station between 1963 and 1967, WHIO. And I'm going to just tell you some of these names. John F. Kennedy. I'm not sure which station he interviewed them at, but people trusted him to be fair. John F. Kennedy, Johnny Carson, Malcolm X, Jerry Rubin, Elton John, Muhammad Ali, Norm Trotsky. His show went from 11/6/1967 at WLWD. 3 years later, he was in syndication. So he understood the business. He understood the importance of syndication. I believe it was the great Lucille Ball in Desilu Productions who was the first to understand syndication. Now, their syndication, because they just ran a show so many times a year, meant that that show could get played over and over and over in different markets. His syndication meant that you just played it, got contracts to be in all these different markets. Okay. Oprah Winfrey, clearly one of the greatest talk show hosts and media moguls of all time. Let's give credit where credit's due, right? She's a great one. She says, no Phil Donahue, no Oprah Winfrey. Yeah. I watched in the early 80s while I was studying media at Hampton. And I watched when I was trying to get in the business after college. Phil Donahue was a one-of-a-kind guy. You never disliked Phil. He never seemed to put his feelings on his sleeve. And he just had a nice demeanor. Seems like he could be your buddy. I suspect that, I don't know. We'll never know. Obviously never know Phil Donahue, but he was a person. And people are people, right? We all have our good parts, we all have our not so good parts. But you would never know it when you watch the show. Now we're going to circle back to Phil a little later. Right now, we're going to move forward. I want to talk about medieval times. This is a business. I guess I can't scroll down any farther here. I guess there's going to be a little bit of editing, right? So medieval times. Here we go. Last week, we talked about the Renaissance Fair in Anne Arundel County. This week, we want to talk about Renaissance, medieval times. This is a dinner and tournament. So, think about this. We're going back. Think about the times in the Middle Ages, right? These themes come out of European Middle Ages, themes of chivalry, rivalry, and revelry. Imagine the 1300s, the 1400s, when battle meant everything. Men had shields and swords. Women of distinction wore long gowns. Battle meant everything. Perhaps right out of Robin Hood, there was a time when this stuff was on television all the time. Swashbucklers, Errol Flynn. That's what these guys did because it was romantic in a way. And that's what this operation represents. You can see the prices right there. I'm not advertising for them, but you go there for a dinner and you go there for a show. Now, let's see. Matter of fact, I wonder if I can plan and coupon the experience. Let's see if I can do something else here. Since I'm already there. There you go. That's a little better. That's a little better. It shows you a little bit more about what they're doing now. The horses. Let's see if I can get a picture of the horses. Very good. Very good. Yes. Stars of the show. They have horses out there. They have it all, right? I think I want to try to do one more thing if I can. Royal Knights in Court. Can I do that? And that's the whole thing. They're out there. They're showing their skill sets for the masses. Look at that behind you. People are enthralled. They're enjoying what they see. Brave knights, beautiful horses, a beast, right? Now, I'm not sure they take this from an actual place or they just kind of embellish a little bit. I'm not quite sure. I've never actually been, although I'm getting excited about it. They say here, Queen Maria Isabella welcomes you to dine. So, like I said, I'm probably going to have to check it out. I'm probably going to have to check it out. So with that, what I want to do, and this is going to be a little difficult, I want to get back to here. Sorry about that, folks. Because normally we like to end on a speech or a poem or something that meets the theme of the show. But what I want to talk about is a love story. You see, Phil Donahue was previously married. I think he had 4 or 5 children from his first marriage. I don't know what happened there. But in 1977, Marlo Thomas agreed to do his show. And anyone who watched that show realized that they were in love with each other. It was love at first sight. It was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. We remember Marlo Thomas from NACRA in the early 70s. It was a neat little show. It had great theme music, some nice jokes. I didn't really talk about any themes that were all that heavy. But she was a nice person and a very good reputation, right? We know her now from her work with the Father's Hospital, the St. Jude. We know about the great work that they do. She's been their spokesman for more years than you can count, right? But on together, they were just a match made in heaven. A match made in heaven. Yes. Everyone who saw that episode said, oh, that's just a matter of time. Sure enough, they dated for like a year and that was it. That was it. So for the true romantics, and we all deserve a little romance, I offer the Phil and Marlo a love story. So we're going to stop the share. Like I said, these are exciting times here in Anne Arundel County. Nice weather. Around the corner, Goffstown history, Bynum legacy. So until next time, for everyone here at the Glen Burnie Players, again, my name is Anthony Bynum. Bye-bye.